All right, children, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the balance of payments. So this is a new topic. Let's get down to business. All right, children, the balance of payments is going to be the summary of a country's international trade. So this is going to include all international transactions, the buying and selling of anything between two countries within a given year in that country's domestic currency. It's made up of two accounts, the current account and the financial account. All right, when we come over here, we have our current account and our financial account. So these are two sides of the balance of payments. They're two separate accounts. Together, they're going to be balancing each other out and equaling out to zero. First, a couple words that you need to understand, a couple vocabulary words you need to understand. Credit. When we're talking about credit right now, we're not talking about a credit card. What we're talking about is money credited to an account. So since we're talking about international trade right now, a credit to either the current account or financial account is money coming into the country. A debit is going to be money leaving the country. So if there's a credit to the current account, that means that money came into the country in the current account. If there's a debit to the financial account, that means that money left the country in the financial account. All right, first and foremost, let's talk about the current account. The current account is going to be made up mostly of the balance of trade, aka our net exports. So it's mostly going to be the amount of stuff that we sell to other countries, which would be a credit to the current account because we'll be giving them stuff and taking in money. So when we sell exports, that's money coming into the country. That's a credit. That's why I've got a plus there next to it. And then minus our imports. When we buy things from other countries, that's money leaving the country. And so for that, there'll be a debit and money will be going out. That's the main part of the current account, our balance of trade, aka our net exports. Exports minus imports. Next, we have investment income. This is going to be money that you earn from investments that you've made previously in other countries. So this could be income that's received from interest, aka the money that you have in foreign banks or in bonds that you own for companies from other countries. So any interest payments you get from outside of the country would be a credit, money coming in. That's foreign factor income, money coming into the country. And then if any of that, if interest payments are being made by either our banks or by companies that are paying back people that own their bonds, then that's going to be foreign factor payment, money leaving the country. Something else that's going to go with investment income is also going to be dividends, money that you earn from ownership of stock. Okay, so if I own stock in Samsung, which is a company that's in South Korea, at the end of the cycle, at the end of the year, they're going to pay out the shares of the profits to the people that hold shares of the company. And so dividends are going to be my share of the profits for having owned part of the company that is Samsung. So if dividends are being paid to me, that's going to be foreign factor income. And that's going to be a credit in the current account. That's going to be money coming into the US. And then foreign factor payments for dividends, money leaving the country, would be if someone in Japan owns stock in Apple. And so Apple has to pay out dividends. That would be a debit in the current account. That'd be money leaving. Next, finally, we have net transfers. That one's pretty simple. It's going to be mainly aid and charity. So transfers in would be money coming into the country in the form of charity or aid, or maybe someone sending money back to like a spouse. So a couple examples. One example of a transfer coming in and being a credit to the current account would be if we had like a hurricane in the southeastern part of the United States and people in other countries sent charity or aid to help out with the survivors of the hurricane. Another example could be if I go to work in Mexico and I send money back across the border to my mom. That would be a transfer in as well, and then vice versa. So net transfers, money going out, would be the same idea, just some leaving the country. So if there's a hurricane or an earthquake, let's say there's an earthquake in the Caribbean, and we send charity to the survivors of the earthquake, that would be a transfer leaving the country. Or if someone were to come and work in the US, but they were from Mexico and they were sending money back to their family, that would be a transfer going out. Next, we have the financial account. The financial account is going to be made up of portfolio investments, foreign direct investments, and the official reserves in the Fed's account. We'll talk about each of those things real quick. Portfolio investments are what you tend to think of when you think of financial stuff, stocks and bonds. If someone in the US purchases stock in a company from another country, that is going to be money leaving the country, and that's going to be a debit in the financial account. However, if we sell stocks and bonds to people that are in other countries, so like somebody in Japan buys stock in Apple or buys Apple bonds, that would be money coming into the country. That would be a credit in the financial account because they bought the stock or bond. They bought the financial asset. Now, something to keep in mind, you need to make sure that you're keeping this in mind. When you purchase the stock or bond, it is in the financial account. When you are receiving income from stocks or bonds that you already own, it goes in the current account. So make sure that you keep that in mind. Next, we have foreign direct investment. This is when somebody from another country builds a factory or a building or buys land in another country. So if foreigners are investing in the US, an example would be Toyota, the car manufacturer, building a manufacturing plant in Texas. When they buy that land and build the factory, that is foreign investment into the US. Money is going, financial money in the financial account, money is going from Japan to the US, and that's a credit to our financial account. However, if Nike builds a factory somewhere in Southeast Asia, that would be a debit to our financial account because a company from the US is building and investing in a country across the ocean. All right, finally, we have official reserves in the Fed's account. This is going to be foreign currency that the Fed has. The reason that the Federal Reserve would have foreign currency is because people are importing things from the United States or to the United States. So if someone in Japan wants to buy Nike shoes and import them to Japan, what they will have to do is they'll have to bring their money, their yen, into the US and exchange it for US dollars because Nike does not want to get paid in yen because Nike is located in the United States. So whoever is importing these goods, these shoes from the US into Japan would first have to trade their yen in for dollars, and then the Fed ends up with this yen sitting around. And so if the Fed sells their currency, foreign currency, that's going to be a credit in the financial account. And if they happen to buy foreign currency, that to aid in foreign exchange and buying between two countries and importing and exporting, if they were to purchase foreign currency, then that would be a debit in our financial account. All right, now we're going to do a couple example problems. All right, children, now we're going to do a few examples. With these examples, we're going to decide first, is this a credit, money coming into the country, or a debit, money leaving the country? Does this happen to the current account or financial account? And then what are the results of this? All right, first one, Mr. Fritz, that's me. Mr. Fritz buys $1,000 worth of stock in Samsung, which is a South Korean company. So first, since I'm buying stock in a foreign company, that is a debit. That is money leaving the country. My money is going to South Korea, and in return, I'm getting partial ownership in a South Korean company. Is that a current account or financial account thing? If we go and look up here, purchasing stock would be portfolio investments, and that would go under the financial account. Something to keep in mind is that when you purchase stock or bonds, this is going to affect the financial account. If you already own stock and bonds and you get income based on the ownership of those stocks and bonds, like interest payments or dividend payments, then that goes in the current account. But when we're actually purchasing the stocks or bonds, it goes in the financial account. The results of this is that the financial account moves toward deficit. So it moves toward deficit. That's money leaving debit to the financial account. It's money leaving the financial account. Next, for part two, number two, we have a grocery store, HEV, buying 20,000 liters of milk from a Canadian manufacturer. So again, this is a debit because this is money leaving the country. HEB is sending money to Canada, and Canada is in return sending 20,000 liters of milk to the United States. This is current account or financial account. This is going to be current account because this isn't our balance of trade parts. This is net exports. And so because it's net exports, it is going to go in the current account. And so because of this, the current account moves toward deficit. And because the current account moves toward deficit, that means that our financial account is going to moves towards surplus. All right, the way this works, we are importing more than we're exporting. So we're in a trade deficit. In order to finance that trade deficit and actually be able to afford the things that we're purchasing, we have to have investment coming back in. So financial investment is going to be occurring for us to get the money that it takes to be able to purchase more goods and services from other countries than we sell to them. So if you have a current account going into a deficit, it's financed by the financial account moving towards surplus. It's financed because foreign investors are bringing money into the country. And that's going to happen every single time. Finally, Mercedes-Benz, a German company, builds a new manufacturing plant in South Carolina. So a company from Germany builds a new factory in South Carolina. That's a credit. That's money coming into the United States. Now, they're building an actual manufacturing plant, and when that happens, that is going to be foreign investment in the US. This is foreign direct investment. It goes in the financial account. Remember, foreign direct investment is when companies in other countries actually come over here and buy land or build buildings or increase our capital stock in some way. And so that's going to be the financial account. And this credit to the financial account will cause the financial account to move toward surplus. All right, hopefully these examples helped you understand a little bit better how the current and financial account works and the whole balance of payments thing works out. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the foreign exchange market tomorrow. Goodbye, children.